One of my favorite ecosystems in the ordinal space is BRC20 because I think it unlocks this idea of DeFi on chain that could be built. It sounds like recursive inscriptions could help upgrade that or accelerate that process to a degree. And that's what's exciting to me.
Yeah, it's gonna make it more secure in my opinion. Currently, like for the BRC20s, it's like 80% secure, okay? It can break anytime, it can fork anytime because there isn't much indexes, there is no standards, etc. I think we're gonna come to with all the like hash sharing, putting the hash on chain, etc. Those kind of like cross-checking, indexer collaboration stuff. It's gonna bring the security of it to the 95%. But like for DeFi, of course, we need like 99.9 kind of like certainty. I think recursive inscriptions can have a big role play in that, pushing 95% to 96, 98, 99, etc.
I am here with one of the team members, Eril, from Best in Slot, man. I'm excited for this. I've been covering a lot of the kind of key ordinal infrastructure teams that have come to the space. And now I've landed here with the Best in Slot team that's become one of the de facto aggregators and explorers for those to find information about ordinals for indexing and everything of all purposes. So I appreciate you for coming on, man. I've been excited for this. It's probably a little bit of a nerdy talk, but we get to really dive into some of the specifics.
Okay, let's do it.
Hell yeah. First and foremost, man, you guys, this is your first podcast, as we kind of talked about, at least from the Best in Slot perspective. You mentioned you've been building in the space for a little bit of time. For those that have never met you or maybe just curious about what you've done before this, could you just dive in a little bit of maybe a little bit of your past and what other like crypto projects you've worked on before Best in Slot?
I mean, I've been in this space since like 2011. I started with basic mining. I never like had like a big mining operation, but at some point like I did a lot of things. Like I still remember the first night of Dogecoin mining and like master nodes, all those like that era, 2013, 2014 era. And then back then, like I didn't do anything. It was just me doing like mining and like trading shitcoins, making a lot of money and then losing everything that I made. Not your keys, not your coins stuff back then, of course. I got hit with the Cryptsy exchange back then in 2015. And then like I left the space, like fuck crypto, I'm not gonna touch this again. But like a year later, I started to like hear about Ethereum a little bit. And then everybody was like, oh my God, this is gonna change the world. This is gonna change the world. And then I kind of got into the smart contracts narrative back in like 2016. Towards the end of the 2016. And then back then, like I had another company. I wasn't doing any like a cryptocurrency, crypto space specific thing. It was just another startup. But in 2017, at the beginning of 2017, I decided to like fully go in like 724 into crypto world. To not knowing what to build, I wasn't also like sure if I was going to become a builder. I mean, like I just like went in. And also I started to like travel the world, like from crypto event to crypto event, just like meeting with people, joining hackathons, like learning more about, okay, like this space. I mean, this space is evolving like super fast. We all know that. Yeah, no one imagined I never imagined I would come back to Bitcoin. Like, let me be honest, I didn't touch Bitcoin since 2015 after like left space. Maybe traded a little bit, but like I only played with Ethereum after that. And then in the Ethereum space, like we did a lot of things. We did botting, we did like little scripts here and there. And then we started to like, I'm saying we because with my co-founder, we've known each other for more than 10 years now. Oh, wow. We weren't like building stuff, but we were playing with things all the time with like anonymity stuff, all the DeFi things. Like we were in there playing with DeFi things before it was called DeFi. And then like it became a thing, hey, what to call it? Someone said like decentralized finance, DeFi in the Telegram groups, etc. Anyway, so I also super into like economic side of things, finance side of things. I started to like dive deeper and deeper into like, okay, what is money? You know, the crypto thing, like, okay, what is money?
The rabbit hole.
What is credit? And then like the rabbit hole. Yeah. And then I found myself at some point, like, again, I got out of the crypto a little bit and I found myself in this like not blockchains, still like decentralized systems, but without like a central truth. Because I worked in the space of like reputation systems. And then that pushed me into a little bit of like not blockchains, but systems that still use like cryptography and like peer-to-peer messaging protocols. But like there is no central state. Actually, like everybody has their own truth. And then like if you want to like merge those truths, okay, you can still merge, but like little islands of truths here and there, those kind of systems, I spent some time in there. I also spent quite a lot of time with like tokenomics. I took courses. I worked with some teams, and I probably looked more than like 500 like coin designs in depth, and like worked with other teams also. So that it's in a sense that's where my heart also lies. Okay, like this coin design is like a very important technology we have right now. I never designed myself like a shitcoin and stuff because like I kind of, this is like like new tools, and people are like playing recklessly with these tools, and people are getting wrecked. And I'm like, okay, at some point I'm going to play with these tools, but I don't want people to get wrecked. At least like giving enough thought into it. And like, if everything breaks down at some point, I would be like, okay, I did my best. So that's why I also didn't like rush with any like products and stuff at that point. And I kept like playing with everything, basically 7/24, and like just moving around the world. And then in 2000 and like 20 summer, the DeFi summer, after the DeFi summer, the NFT summer came, and like the NFT season was there, of course. And during the NFT season, I was like, before that, I was always taking notes on like what kind of products that I can build. Like I have shitload of ideas on what to build. And at some point it became like, okay, I want to put my entrepreneur hat back on, like start building. But like there was a lot of ideas that I can build. So it became more like, okay, like let me find a co-founder that we can have fun building together. So that's my co-founder, Samed. We know each other, and he just like left his previous job. So we came each other like a year ago. And also like personally, I'm interested in building consumer facing products most of the time. And when we tried to like build anything before that, it was like to build a consumer product, you basically needed to build the infrastructure first. And like there wasn't any, like not many APIs, not many tools. It was like quite hard to build things. But like, in my opinion, Wendy also like this like last year, 2022, and like this year also, like the tooling is like just, it's grown enough that I'm pretty sure we're gonna see like it's starting soon, like mass adopted products that uses crypto somehow, but like people may or may not know, but it's like, it's coming. Because now like it's much easier to build. It's much easier to basically build consumer facing products. Now you don't need to like build every stack of infrastructure yourself. The composability came in also. And so a year and a half ago, we founded the Subjective Labs. We call it subjective because like, I mean, art is subjective, everybody's like, hey, like why these images are selling for like hundreds, thousands of dollars. I mean, it's subjective. The value is subjective. Everything is subjective. Also, since I spent a lot of time in like peer-to-peer systems without central states, because like blockchains are objective, no, like there's only one truth. But in subjective systems, like in other kinds of non-blockchain but distributed systems, you have like multiple truths. So it's subjective. It's kind of like reputation, how reputation works. But like I can get into that later maybe.
Yes.
So we found the Subjective Labs, and first what we did was, okay, the thesis is there's going to be like billions and billions of NFTs, like game items, tickets, like a lot of things. So our first thing to do was like, let's build a very, very like a cutting edge indexer for Ethereum NFTs, but also that can handle Polygon NFTs also, that can basically handle billions of NFTs, like a very high performant indexing technology. That's what we built first. And also like as a passion project, we did like a Chrome extension. It's like a wallet aggregator, but like we stopped that after a point because ordinals happened. So when the ordinals happened in January, I was like, I kind of like looked into it a little bit, but I was in like a parallel world in India, like doing spiritual stuff. And in February, I came back and like some of my friends were also like, hey, like this is serious, like look into it. And then we looked into it, and the handbook, the digital artifacts, what Casey wrote, like after we read that, it was like a little bit like the Bitcoin movement again, because what makes Bitcoin beautiful, like it's beautiful because it's like simple, it's easy to understand. And once you understand, it opens like a new way of thinking in your mind, in a sense. So this ordinals created a similar effect, that how it approached to concept of NFTs and how it handled everything just using the Satoshis and then the writing data onto the on-chain blockchain data. And it worked, like it was working. So we basically we came together. My co-founder was a little bit skeptical because like he came into the space with Ethereum, not with Bitcoin. And he kind of like saw Bitcoin a little bit like, okay, it's old technology. We have Ethereum now. That's what his like perspective. But like we sit and talk. I'm like, look, like it's gonna grow because it's just because it's Bitcoin, just because it's Bitcoin, and just because this thing works, it's gonna like grow crazy. And he looked into a little, and then we sat down and talked for 3 hours. I even recorded that. It's in Turkish, but like him, just like going over our vision, because like what I proposed to him was like, let's stop everything we do in the Ethereum and Polygon side and focus everything we did so far onto Bitcoin and Ordinals, because like it's blue ocean. There is nothing now, because we were also like from an entrepreneurship perspective, like a product builder perspective, if we did what we were doing in Ethereum, it was going to take much more time to get like market share, attention, because there's already a lot of things there. So the initial idea for Best in Slot was to like build a database for NFTs that automatically categorizes everything. It's like a database for NFTs. I mean, that's
yeah.
So we pivoted that into an Ordinals Explorer. And like after that 3-hour talk, like my co-founder was like, okay, I'm gonna like build the indexer first. And it took him a week to like apply everything we did before onto Ordinals. So we basically started to build on Ordinals.
Yeah, that's how you guys got market shares. You had an existing product and you were able to kind of apply it to the knowledge and the experience that you had in the space to, build these indexers. I have to say, I had a big smirk on my face when you said your name is Subjective Labs, because Bitcoin is very subjective in the sources of truth, right? With at least with the ordinal space, because ordinal theory, right, is subjective. You need to there's not as much objectivity to it, and we see this competing now with. First, you have this experience and reputation and system architecture, I guess you would say. Where ordinals, you have BRC20s, you have ordinals, or you have the inscriptions, like kind of the NFT side. You have some of these other protocols that are emerging on top of it. You're able to aggregate it differently, but some of these require different types of indexers and different types of, I call them like the rules of the game, which didn't exist. So you guys came in and now you've become, one of the top or the top kind of like aggregator and explorer for people to go into and kind of like use these APIs and come in with these indexers and information. It's, it feels like it's a perfect placement for you guys to kind of be in this space. It's interesting that, your fascination is tokenomics, because I'm sure that probably plays into what you guys do down the road at some point. But yeah, moving into like where best in slot is now, during those early stages of building, what do you think was like the biggest I guess, complications or issues that you guys were trying to solve that you're still maybe even working on?
I mean, like how I looked at it first was like, okay, let's keep the original perspective. Let's build like an explorer first, and then let's see where it goes. That was like the main thing. So we built the explorer first, and then I really enjoy like this Web3's like composable nature, because at some point, like I was thinking about, okay, like there are marketplaces, and then there are like inscription services, and everybody was like trying to track floor prices on Excel sheets. So we built the Explorer first, and then quickly rushed into the aggregation capabilities because like that was what people needed. So it became like it's like a surfing. There are like waves right now. The first wave was like, okay, people doing stuff on spreadsheets, and then the marketplaces popped up, spreadsheets died, and then everybody started to use the marketplaces. And follow us.
Yeah. So I'm pulling up here on the screen the best in slot page. So as Eril is speaking, you could kind of get a visualization of what they're doing here.
So first Explorer, and then the aggregation capabilities. And then we were thinking about like, okay, let's add like buying and selling listing capabilities also. But at some point, like marketplace is like another mindset, in my opinion. It's like another kind of like business plan. You think like a marketplace, you act like a marketplace, but we wanted to be a explorer first. And with how ordinals are now, I'm like very happy that we took that decision, because now with all we only had GIFs, videos, images, text, HTML codes, but now we have the recursive inscriptions, we have the BRC20s, like there is all these kind of different kinds of things. And we're gonna have 10 times more at least in the upcoming 3 months, maybe even 6 months. And in 3 years, I can't imagine, like after like, let's assume we're gonna have a very big wave coming up in the coming years. After that, we're gonna see a lot of different things people are building, especially with these like recursive inscriptions pointing to each other, and then like this is something much more different emerging than what we had on Ethereum. So we are like, okay, we are an explorer first, and then like aggregation capabilities added, and then the BRC20 happened. And because I have quite a lot of like interest in financial systems, DeFi things, BRC20, I mean, to be honest, we first dismissed it, but like after we spent a little time on it again, like a week later, we were like, oh, this has potential. Like it has a lot of potential. And we were talking about this like last night in the Ordinal show on the Twitter Spaces. People really dismiss the idea that we are trusting to indexers with the BRC20s, but actually, when you think about it, we never had a ledger that everybody can like put writings on, and then like everybody can do a simple mathematics and see each other's balances. So how I'm looking at it currently, the BRC20s is kind of like, let's imagine like a line. On one line, there are like big centralized closed banking system, like everything closed, nobody knows, and it's like there. And then we have like Bitcoin and Ethereum, like fully open, fully on-chain ledgers that we can do financial applications on top. BRC20 like sits in somewhere like in the middle, because now we have a immutable data layer that anybody can write onto. And then we just need to like, everybody looks at the same thing and does a simple mathematics, and we can like track everybody's balances. So, and because I also spend a lot of time in subjective systems, and when you think about subjective systems and finance, where you come into like credit systems or like local currencies, community currencies, those kind of concepts. So like BRC20s fits into that narrative like quite good, in my opinion. We don't have to do everything on chain. Of course, it has its limits. So that's why we kind of got, okay, like let's hit the BRC20 drum now, like to really focus on that. So, and then like we did it. And then we started to work on API services. And that's what we've been cooking. Now, actually, like today, we just like started to give API keys to some teams, like building in the space. Like it's very recent, and we're gonna release it next week also. So it's kind of like our third big push. Like, okay, Explorer, Ordinals Explorer, the website, and then the aggregation, and then the BRC20, now the API services. So, and how I'm approaching to this is that like we can build anything basically. My co-founder has been in the space for more than 7 years. He's a information security professional normally, and I've been in the space for a long time, and we know a lot of people that can help us build things also. So right now what we do is like just trying to watch what's going on, because like it's growing so fast, and then try to like, okay, now let's do this. Okay, now let's do this. And we kind of like focused on the APIs because there is more than like 50 people, 50 like collections and like different kinds of startups or like builders that was like waiting for an API. Oh my God, this is
It's so bright. Yeah,
something
sorry.
that website is this is old. We haven't updated it because we've been building other stuff. So this is our extension, like you're looking at. And then, yeah, we were like just playing with ideas here. We're gonna update this part also at some point.
How funny. Yeah. So here.
By the way, I'm just talking. Like, you have any questions? Like,
oh, don't worry, I do. Don't worry, I do. Yeah, I'm just I'm browsing around while you're speaking, so everyone can kind of visualize what's going on here. So with Best in Slot, it's funny you mentioned at the very beginning, right? You want to build consumer-facing products, and now the third wave is kind of the business-to-business kind of end, right? So now you're going into the back end, because those who are using APIs are generally builders, at least for the large majority of it. If you go to your Twitter account, right, you see the first thing that you have posted here is, the Best in Slot, the BRC20 Explorer. I know if you scroll a little bit farther down, you have your kind of BRC20 API documentation, which I'm going to find here in a second. Can you dive a little bit into like what that even means? I know for some of those, most that listen to this are generally kind of on the consumer side, but there are builders to it. I know there's kind of a misunderstanding of what APIs versus indexers are, and kind of like what the requirements are to build with. So from the Best in Slot side, from your perspective, if somebody approaches you and they want to use your BRC20 API, can you just describe like what that means, and like what is the process to get that access for them to tie into Best in Slot?
The BRC20 API, what we're releasing now, I'm going to talk like generally, not just BRC20 API, but also like the general Ordinals API. So we are doing already the indexing. That's the kind of part that requires to solve some problems. It's not that hard, but it's not that everybody can do it. I mean, basically, like for the space to grow, there needs to be APIs for everyone to just quickly build things. And one of the things with the like BRC20 APIs was required because everybody looks on chain and they come up with their own indexing solutions. So maybe like I can talk a little bit about indexing first and then come onto the API side of things.
Perfect.
So to keep it really simple, indexing is basically like looking what's happening on chain and then categorizing every transaction and basically like understanding the global state. Okay, like these inscriptions got sold, got exchanged. Like we look at different kinds of like signature structures, transaction structures, and basically keep the global state of like whatever's happening on Bitcoin blockchain. And we basically have that data, and on Best in Slot, that's what we display. Okay, this is a collection, and then the collection item got sold for this price on chain. We don't rely on like marketplace APIs for that. We rely on marketplace APIs just for like listing information. So that's what we do with the indexing. It's like, okay, someone just registers a new SNS like .sats name, or someone just issued a new BRC20 transfer token just by like looking what's going on. And then we display that information. But what we can also do is give APIs to other teams so they don't need to do that like categorization on chain, like run your own node and then like categorize everything, keep everything like nice and neat. And then also have these like reorg protections. So like you don't have to reindex over and over again, because reorgs started to happen on Bitcoin blockchain, and we're going to see crazy things happening. We've seen crazy things happening on Ethereum. We're going to see crazier things happening on Bitcoin blockchain, because now there are like economic incentives also, but that's another topic. Coming back to the API, it's basically like you say, hey, like you give us a wallet, and then we like ask what's the BRC20 balances of this wallet, and then we just give you the answer. And we do this with, okay, like what is this item's history? And we just give that. So this is only BRC20. We're still like working on the like a new updated documentation of like a broader Ordinals API. Because like there are some APIs from the Hero team has one, Ordinal Hub, the Ordinal Hub has one, and there are some like little APIs here and there. Emblem Vault has a cursed inscription API. So, but what we wanted to do basically, like we have all the data you can ask for. So we are starting to give it as a service now. And to gain access, it was only, we were in the testing phase. We didn't charge. We just like wanted to test our like infra. Xverse started to use it. Then Luminex started to use it. Luminex broke it 2 times. Like they were like sending like 8 million like in 10 minutes like requests with their mints and stuff. That was interesting. Like we woke up in the like night, because like we have alarms and stuff. I mean, not that dramatic, but it's like, what's going on? Oh, okay, like BRC20 minting from Luminex, but like it was like crazy at some point.
Before you continue, I just want to, did Luminex use your guys' infrastructure for the OXBT mint too?
They were only using us to show the balances.
Okay.
It's like they have their own inscription services, but like to display the balances, they were using our systems.
Okay.
So basically they stress tested it. But when they broke it, Xverse's APIs also went down. So we took our lessons. It was the testing phase. Now we have like a very robust system that can like answer millions of calls per second. So we're gonna start rolling it out. We already started to roll it out with like people who have already requested it. So one way we can do is like what is basically we give this as a service, and depending on your needs, we charge you. We haven't charged anyone yet, but it's going to become like a business to business thing for us. But what I really enjoy doing is that like collabs, like, hey, like take this API, use it, and in return, like what can you provide to us? So let's see, because like collections don't need very like high performance APIs, and like they don't need to buy like $1,000, $2,000 packages, because like it's not needed, but they need some of the services. So it's like a beautiful mutual exchange, in my opinion. Hey, like you need anything infrastructure related, we got you covered. And you basically help us promote us, or like put links to your website, et cetera, et cetera. So that's how you can, to get access to the API. I mean, in a week or 2, you'll be able to do it automatically, but you want to test it now, come to our Discord and open a ticket. And we're just like sending out forms. You fill out the form, and then we move on from there.
Fantastic. Yeah, I love, first, I just love how frictionless the website is. It just feels super easy. But on the back end, the infrastructure, right? We've discussed on the Emblem side of, where the collaborative opportunities lie, so that we can all kind of build this together. Let's say I'm a builder who's listening to this. What type of products could you build using the Best in Slot API access? Is it everything from a marketplace to an explorer to a launchpad to something that hasn't existed yet? Or is there like very specific use cases right now?
So we're like approaching it iteratively. right now, what you have is like you can ask balances, you can query wallets. I mean, if you're like a, let's say, portfolio app or like a coin tracker, or you have like an analytics website, we basically give you like all the like sales events, listing events, who owns what. For example, you can like using our APIs, you can build a whale tracker because like we also have a lot of like information on wallets. I mean, we have our own dashboards, like we've been watching it, and like there are some like wallets that loads like every week, loads 20 Bitcoin and like sweeps the floor, loads 20 Bitcoin, sweeps the floor. So there are like whales for sure. But anyways, so right now it's basically you can get like collection information, ticker information, any kind of like BRC20 information. We have like validity checkers to check if like a transfer note is like valid or not, or if a SATS name is like valid or not. We have like easy ways to do to like reverse lookups to, instead of, you know how we can send Ethereum using our ETH names. Now like gm.lol or like jake.gallen, like if you register that, I can just like send, like using our APIs, it's very easy to send Bitcoin to jake.gallen. It doesn't even have to be .sats now. So yeah, like market information, volumes, whatever happens in a block, and then like collection information, inscription information, like those are the things that we have right now. We got contacted by some players.
Some larger
that,
groups, yeah.
Yeah, that they want, for example, API for mempool scanning. I mean, we were already gonna build that. We're gonna have like a mempool tool, like a global, you know, like on Magic Eden, when something gets sold, the Magic Eden logo like turns. We're gonna have that on Best in Slot also, but maybe that's gonna be like a premium feature because it's kind of like a really good cutting edge thing. I mean, we have a lot of ideas. Like even what you can do is like there's gonna be like sniping functionalities. Maybe I don't know. Like I don't know where it's gonna go.
I like it. I like it. So let me ask you then.
I have no idea. Yeah.
You've been in the space for a while. You're building on Ethereum. Then you come over to Bitcoin. Could you just dive through the differences of building between Ethereum to Bitcoin, and if it's more simplistic or complex because of the differences?
Oh my God, it's so much simpler to work with Bitcoin. I mean, we're in the same boat. Like you also, you know Ethereum, you know Bitcoin. You have a product that operates on both chains. So, I mean, after spending all those like times, like contract auditing and like security concerns, constructing like complex systems using smart contracts, like reading those contracts, all of that. And then, you know, there's a lot of hacks. There's a lot of like people signing messages that they don't know what they're signing. It wasn't a mess. Now, like working with the Bitcoin, it's kind of like, oh my God, like that complexity. Now we can do everything on Bitcoin again, but it's like at least 10 times simpler. I mean, we can't like really do everything that we can do Ethereum, of course. But when you think about like application specific things like NFTs, collections, listing, buying and selling, bids, it's like doable. It's going to come at some point. I mean, if no one's do it, we're going to do it at some point, but we don't want to become a marketplace. So I don't know. So it's like much more easier to work with, man. Like it's beautiful. As I like from also like a product builder perspective, it's much easier to work with. And there is a lot of like information that many people don't know also. I mean, I was in Miami in the conference, the Bitcoin Miami week, and I've learned so much that like what's been going on in the Bitcoin space for all these years. I'm like, what? Well, because like I had no idea what was going on in Bitcoin space. And then like now there is a lot of like new eyes, new attention, like builders like me coming back to the main chain. I mean, for me, it was kind of like, imagine like a horn, like a big war horn, and then doo, doo, and then like everybody's like coming back. It's happened. It's happening right now. I mean, because of the bear market, also a lot of people like died. but people get like revitalized at some point. It's gonna there's gonna be at least like 100 times more builders on Bitcoin, in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, I'm not like saying that we're done with Ethereum or like Ethereum is done. No, like they're gonna coexist. It's just it's it's fun to build on Bitcoin again. It was magical. It lost its magic because new shiny toys came, and then they got adoption, and then we can do much more on it. And then I really appreciate how Casey puts into it. Okay, like NFTs, that's basically like they're like images and like something to track, and then we can do it with Satoshis and like write the data on chain. So we have the basic thing. It's like all that complexity on Ethereum, like complex, and then like you look into that complexity and like take the most important like atomic building block and find a way to do that on Bitcoin. And now on Bitcoin, it's like exploding also with all the these new stuff. It's so exciting. I mean, also
good.
Yeah.
I was going to say, what you were describing of is what we call homecoming, right? It's a great homecoming. We're all coming back to Bitcoin, right? I've been in the space for a little while too. And I think a lot of individuals were turned away from Bitcoin because of the culture. It was like a very no culture where somebody would come build and the community would be like, no, don't do that, right? There's one use case. That's all you got. And now it's this big herd that's kind of migrated back over, has just pushed past that wall of no's to just say, we're doing this no matter what you want to do, no matter how you feel. This is happening now. And I think now there's no turning back. Yeah. It feels like at this point, although they are kind of putting a front, right, of trying to prune or whatever the different cases are. But building on it, it is that the simplicity of it is what's beautiful. At least that's what it seems like at the front facing. Would you say there's any what would you say is like the difficulties of building on it? I know it's simple, but there has to be some trade-offs. Unless this is really just the end all and everything does kind of happen in this hyper Bitcoinization kind of ideals. There has to be some hurdles to overcome, right?
I mean, it's slow. I have no idea what's going to happen when the tourists come back. Mm-hmm. That's one thing. And it's like this 10-minute block time and the reorgs. It's because like when you think about it on Ethereum, like especially now, like 10-second, 13-second things. And then there's like the Mew bots. There's a lot of things going on there. And now when you think about it, like you want to buy something and the new block can come in like 30 minutes, let's say. Okay. And during that time, it's like that transaction is sitting in the mempool, and 30 minutes is a long time because you can get front run. And so I don't know how it's going to turn out, but there's definitely we're going to see like, okay, you're the first one that paid, but someone like paid more fee to the miners and got it first. And 30 minutes is a long time. So I don't know like how that's going to like play out. We're going to see. And the second thing is that like it's really constrained. So I really want to see like ZK rollups on Bitcoin or like more layer 2s that are more layer 2. I don't know, like I don't want to like throw stones on it, etc. But like how, for example, Stacks works, it kind of doesn't really feel like a how it works on like Arbitrum or Optimism with respect to like Ethereum, and then all the like the other kinds of like ZK proofs and stuff, or ZK layer 2s. It doesn't give me the same feeling how we do that. So I don't know still if it's doable. That's one of the hurdles in my opinion. Like making a layer 2 on Bitcoin is very hard. But now we have incentives to make layer 2s on Bitcoin. There were no incentives to make layer 2s on Bitcoin. Bitcoin was already not utilized, and there were no need for the layer 2s. Now, all these like brains from Ethereum community, from Solana, from Polygon, all these like builders, collections, all these like excitement, energy, attention flowing back to it. So I think like we're gonna have ways to do new kinds of layer twos on Bitcoin to scale it. But I would really like to see like a little opcode that like specifically to make layer twos lives easier. I don't know if that's possible, but like those kind of like very small upgrades for to make it easy for layer twos to exist on Bitcoin will be very nice, in my opinion. But I have no idea how it's gonna turn out. So that's the thing. Like that's the only thing that I can think of when it comes to like hard hurdles or like hard parts. Because come on, even Ethereum can't handle when a lot of people come. Bitcoin is not gonna handle at all that. So, but it's good because more people will try to build layer twos now. So it's gonna grow.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've been doing my study. I come from like the historical NFT space, so I do a lot of studying on just like trends and parallels and things like that. And Bitcoin, there's always a unique aspect to side chains or layer twos or protocols or meta protocols that kind of build on it because there is no standardization of how to build on Bitcoin, right? That's what makes it, I think, so exciting, is that everyone's kind of testing their own experiments to become that de facto standard. But one thing I've followed of a trend within the ordinal space that hasn't really been standardized yet for how to aggregate data is this like idea of rare sats. The idea of like Casey's rarity index of uncommons and legendaries, or the like block 9 and block 78 and pizza sats. It doesn't seem like there's been a way to standardize how to get that type of information. Have you and Best in Slot looked into this, or have any sort of solution to be able to track that kind of stuff, to maybe even build some sort of like rare sat kind of index?
Yeah, we haven't looked into that much. I think it's cultural also. I'm gonna be open. Like the rare sat concept, it has not spoke to me personally that much. I'm all about, I enjoy the Pepe cards. I enjoy like the historical NFTs, but like sat rarity, it's a personal opinion. Like I'm not attracted to it. My co-founder has not been attracted to it that much, but like there has been some requests for us to support like rare sets and stuff. We're gonna do like the goal is to become the best explorer, like the really beautiful product that while you're using it, like you enjoy using it, and you can like find things intuitively on there. And when you wanna do Web3 things, you can also do those. But like personally, I haven't looked into that much. I know what they are. I know like it's kind of trendy in the current market conditions with the ordinal maxi bees and like some other like things going on in the Railsat narrative. But in a sense, like we can't be on top of every
trend,
every new trend. So we're trying to like keep our focus because like we got kind of lost, like we wasn't expecting this. Our plan was to, okay, we're just gonna keep building for 2 years just by ourselves, and then like let's see where it goes kind of mentality. And then like this March, it's like, hey, we need this, hey, we need that, and then like people started to use it, people started to like it, more people started to ask more questions, more people started to ask more features, and like we started to work 7/24 because that's what you want. No, you want your product to be used. But at some point we kind of got lost because I mean I've been in the crypto Twitter also for more than 10 years, and like I have my lists, I have my like people, so I try to like stay on top of most of the trends. But when it comes to building, we need to choose. So right now we prioritize the API services because like that's, in my opinion, it's a need for new products, for new I consider ourselves as a bit more like a lower level builders. I mean, there are teams that are like more lower level than us. The Luxor team, for example, Cypher, Charlie, and like some other builder teams. Like there is a lot of people who are like at the one even lower level, Bitcoin product building levels, like Lightning people, etc. We see ourselves like on another level. It's like, okay, like everybody does something, like we read things. I mean, we're looking forward to play with PSPTs or like play with other like protocols that are on Bitcoin. Taro, it was, I think. I haven't like looked into it, but there's a lot of interesting things. So we kind of got like, okay, let's build whatever people ask. So we have like a request list. We look at there and then just like keep on building on top of that. So that's why we haven't really looked into like rare Satoshi stuff that much. But it's beautiful. I mean, it's colorful. I use Ord.io sometimes, the like the pizza sats, like other things. It's fun and it's interesting. I mean, all these like legendaries, epics. I'm coming from, dude, our name is Best in Slot. Like, do you know what Best in Slot means?
No,
like
tell me. Give me the story.
Yeah, the Best in Slot. I mean, I'm quite amazed that not many people know, but it's
Give me the story.
In the games. Yeah, in like especially MMORPGs like WoW, like World of Warcraft, Guild Wars, etc. Like in all these like MMORPGs, you have like armors, rings, swords, etc. that you put on your character, right? And then some of these like items are called best in slot because like that's the best item that you can get for that specific type of build. So it's like the unique items. So it's like a gaming term in a sense. But the funny thing is like especially in the Miami, it was so funny. People are like, it's like a casino thing. Because like crypto is also like a casino and a slot. And then like, I'm like, wow, okay, it actually makes sense because like, yes, crypto space is also like a casino space at some point, like from one perspective. So I'm also like okay with that, but like that's what best in slot means because as I told you in the beginning, there's gonna be like billions of NFTs and majority of that, not maybe majority, but like there's gonna be billions of gaming items being traded on open marketplaces. So that's why we named it best in slot. And we considered like changing the name, maybe like something more ordinal specific. But then like looking all the products like Ordinals Wallet, Ordinals Market, Ordinals Safe, or it's kind of like from the branding perspective, we like, okay, just let's keep it. And it doesn't matter if people don't know the gaming term because like now people think about the slot machines and like they think it's like a wink to that. But anyways, I have just like that now.
I have to say, I'm born and raised out in Las Vegas. That's where I live. So the first thing that comes to mind is definitely casino. But I really do enjoy it. I do have to say though as well, when it comes to a branding perspective for something, you either niche, you label yourself and niche down to something like you said, like Ordinals Wallet, Ordinals Safe, whatever it is. Or you build the brand around you and like what your interests and strengths are. I've gone through this debate many times with labeling my podcast and like, what's the name? It's like most crypto podcasts are generally labeled as something similar to that, right? It's like, what did Bitcoin do? Or like the NFT show. Mine is just called Jake's Guest List, Jake Gallen's Guest List, because that's just who I am, right? I'm a Vegas kid who likes to talk with people, and you eventually build the brand around you and familiarize people with who you are and what your strengths are so that you're not kind of boxed into this little thing of ordinals or crypto, and you can always kind of move outwards because you need to be able to pivot and adapt to things as it changes. And right, like Ordinals Wallet, for example, I had Randy on, love those guys. I talk with them all the time. They've even talked about trying to rebrand because they actually do things much more than just being a wallet, right? So for some users, it could be confusing, but you don't want to change it like while you're still scaling, because then people might just get confused of what's going on. So yeah, I do appreciate you for keeping that because that is it's a fun name. It is it's very crypto in sense, but I didn't realize that it was for gaming. But you were speaking earlier about kind of the layers of builders. And I feel Emblem is very similar as well. Like the layer one builders are those who are kind of in the trenches. They're building the protocols. They're opening up the command center, and they're getting like, they're very kind of grained down into the trenches of it. Then you have those like us that are analyzing what's going on and building products for the users who request what they need. What would you say is like, or how do you describe the relationship of the devs in this space? Like when you interact with Cypher or the Ordinal Hubs team, and then maybe even the other builders, does it feel like a sense of camaraderie on the back end of people helping with each other? Or is it kind of distance and maybe tribalistic? Like I know Ethereum can kind of get like that as well, because people are competing for different type of market share. Just, yeah. How do you describe that like back end culture?
It's kind of like a rainbow, of course. There's like, I met with a lot of like builders in Miami, in San Francisco, in like other places. And there is like, for example, with some teams, it's like, okay, we're already competitors or we're going to become competitors in the future. Like both teams know that, but we can still talk. We have dinner together. Because like there is also this like culture, the excitement that we're all very early in something that's gonna like grow much more exponentially, and the cake is gonna grow, so everybody is gonna eat. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing. There are teams that are like more like very open to collaboration, like Ordinals Wallet. We like them. I think they like us. Like we gave them, like what we first did with them was we gave them an endpoint. They give us an endpoint, and like we check BRC20 balances. Like they have a completely different system. We have a completely different system, but we cross check from the very early days of BRC20. And then they give us links. We give them links. It's like beautiful. There's like mutual respect. And then in some, I mean, this is crypto. They're like, okay, give me what I need and then fuck off. Like, I feel that sometimes. Okay. So, it's okay. Like, it's the nature of crypto a little bit. Some people are like very like, I need to do this. I need to capture this market share. Like, we need to be fast. And like, I'm not going to care much about like my relations in the space. I tend to not grow deeper relationships when I feel that with other people, but I enjoy really focusing my attention on like building relationships who we have fun together, because it's kind of like, I mean, we're in the crypto, we're building, and especially if you've been in the crypto for a long time, like you have a certain level of abundance in your life, and now it becomes like let's all build together and have fun. Like that should be the first thing. Like with it might sound a little soft and like love, etc. But like that's how I'm looking at it. It's not just about like market share, money. Like, I mean, there are like also some of the marketplaces are acting like that. Okay, I'm gonna lock this up, and then even write into my terms of sheet that if you use our launchpad, you can't be listed on other marketplaces. Like these kind of like closed mentality. And with respect to like, okay, like we're building this, you're building that, let's work together. I mean, there is always this, when there is money included, there is always this like rivalry, but it doesn't have to be like a fight or, like greed, hate. It can still be like, we can be competitors, but we should still be able to like eat dinner, maybe like do little collaborations here and there. It's, I don't know, maybe I'm too naive in that perspective, but I've been in the space for so long time. Like I know that this is the way if you wanna like keep being in the space, because I know a lot of people who also got like kicked out for market reasons, for like other things in their lives, and never come back to crypto space again. But like once you have these like relationships established, I mean, I have a lot of friends from Ethereum world, all over the world. It's kind of like provides you like a safety net in a sense. Like you have a good relationships with a lot of like builders and other communities, that when you want to do something new, you don't have to start from zero. You can like utilize that network. So that's how I'm looking at it. And I'm like, we're still like scratching the surface with the crypto systems, because it's a design tool, and it's not just we're gonna replicate the old financial system or like old whatever systems, but we're gonna like keep innovating on new collaboration systems, new ways of like creating things. That's why I also like really fell in love with the NFTs, because like it's disrupting the like the media industry, publishing industry, ticketing industry, all these kind of things. So I mean, for me, the crypto game is like just survive, build relationships, and just keep building. If you stay long enough in the crypto space, building good relationships and building good products, you're going to make it. No need to be like, I'm going to lock you up. Like, you don't need that. But anyways, this is me. This is how we look at building. That's why we're like, okay, like, let's do the API and like give it for free. If like, if we can do collaborations and stuff, or like if you can't pay now, but you know, you want to build relationships, yeah, go ahead and use the API. I mean, we have a lot of things to build. We're growing the team. We've been in the space long time. We're gonna be here for a long time. It's not just like a short thing for us, especially with like the Subjective Labs and Best in Slot brands. Because like if I can tell you a little bit about like my longer term visions, we have a lot of ideas on like reputation systems or like reputation games, new kinds of like applications that more like fits the subjective networks kind of things, but or more, let's say, more social applications, like in a broader sense. Okay. And for social applications to gain traction, like you need either like it needs to start above a certain threshold of users for the wheels to start turning and for it to growing. So one thing that we want to do is to like keep building in the space and like build a brand of, okay, like whatever these guys build, I'm going to look into it, because like they build good products. So after we come to that, we want to try even more experimental things, even more like interesting games. I mean, not when I say games, it's not like PC games, more like a systems games.
I love,
Yeah.
I love that idea. And I love once you get the idea of, once you get the infrastructure down, it's like, what type of experimental kind of game theoretic applications can I apply to my product to kind of like take it to the next edge? When I had recorded with Ordinal Wallet and Randy, they said like their whole goal of Ordinal's Wallet was to make the whole website feel like a lounge, where it's like you can buy your NFTs, but then you can also go hang out here and have a chat room, or you can go here and have like these arcade games that you can play on chain while you're waiting for your Bitcoin block to transact, right? Like these kind of like the Bitcoin is literally just game theory for the most part, right? That's how mining works, and that's how the whole security system operates. So applying a reputation system, where there's social consensus and leaderboards and right these kind of like community battles, it's proven in this space to work. And it's the OpenSea leaderboard is literally there so that you could get there, right? Because that's where the most attention is. It's the same with when you go on Bitfinex and you're leverage trading, right? It shows who's the biggest winners, who's the biggest losers. It's just built into all of the leaders in the space. They've found a way to add those type of reputation systems into their product that really kind of stands alone from themselves. But, you know, as we kind of wind this conversation down, one of my final questions kind of revolves around the future of like where this is all going. You've been building in the space for quite a long time. You can just tell through this conversation, you have a deep understanding of the fundamentals of the space. Is it more likely that hyper Bitcoinization happens? Do you think we move into this like multi-chain world where these blockchains and products collaborate with one another, or do you have maybe a third option that you think may unfold over maybe the next 5 years?
I mean, Bitcoin is gonna grow for sure, but I don't subscribe really like 100% to the hyper Bitcoinization narrative. I think that there's a lot of use cases for a lot of kinds of like other blockchains. And also like from like how I see right now, Bitcoin is like the most precious data availability layer. Like, and it's gonna bring a lot of value to the coin itself, to the Bitcoin itself. But I don't think if we're gonna live in a world where like everything is on Bitcoin, we're gonna have a lot of like cross bridges, like cross things, multiple chains gonna live. Maybe like some chains die, some chains keeps living because like these are like animals or like alive creatures. No, Grandpa Bitcoin, dup dup every 10 minutes, like dup dup. Ether, the younger one, dup 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 every 13 seconds. Like these are alive things. Sometimes they die also. So I think we're gonna have like different blockchains and different like use cases. For example, like the Disney and like some other like large corporates are choosing like Polygon because like you can extract a lot of things. It's like fast, etc., etc. So it's good to like for specific use cases, it's okay to have specific chains. For like more serious things, it's much better to have like build on either Ethereum or either on Bitcoin, etc., etc. So this is one thing. But in 5 years, one of the things is that crypto people don't, especially like blockchain people, have not spent time much in is, I mean, yeah, actually, like they also spend, especially with Bitcoin people, but like states without, networks without central states. I mean, Bitcoin has a central state and we have a consensus mechanism. And then Ethereum also is like that. One chain, one truth. I think in 5 years, as we, in a sense, how we think about systems and like computer networks change and evolve, we're gonna start also seeing some of more these like subjective networks. For example, when you talk about a subjective network, it means like there's a leaderboard, but everybody sees a different leaderboard. It's like there are like islands of groups that have different truths. Sometimes these truths might not be compatible even, but it can be also compatible. There are like products like that. There is like Holochain trying to do that. There is some like other protocols are trying to do these kinds of applications. So those kind of things might get a little bit more traction. Currently, they don't because it's like weird, this weird application of things. Because like everybody tries to reach to this like ultimate truth, but there is also like a philosophically speaking that like everything is subjective, so there can be multiple truths. So its reflection on crypto systems is going to come out in the upcoming 5 to 10 years also, in my opinion. But also like with I want to come to the now, the recursive inscriptions. Oh my God, we were already thinking about that with Samet, my co-founder, and now it's like a reality. Like after the API, we're gonna start playing with recursive inscriptions.
You're really big on it, huh? You think it's the game-changing protocol for
Of
Ordinals?
course, it's like it's gonna exponentially increase what we can do. It's like a catalyzer. I mean, there are some collections already starting to use it to like generate the on-chain images with like very small like data footprint. But that's just the beginning. We're gonna have like codes, like different code blocks on different inscriptions, and then you're going to be able to like tie them to each other. We're gonna have like more JSONs, like BRC20s, and some of these JSONs will also interact with some of the other code snippets. It's gonna become a thing. We're gonna see a lot of applications on chain. I think it's crazy. It has like unlimited potential. We can even do people has been talking about, okay, running Bitcoin on Bitcoin or like running operation systems on Bitcoin. It's like, why not? It's possible. Now we have this like database, 4 megabyte, 4 megabyte, 4 megabyte, 4 megabyte. Like it's always there, and we can just like write things on that. We can put anything on that, and it's like ordered. It's there, available, unmutable, always online. Who knows who's going to come up with like different things. I mean, my co-founder also loves generative art. He had his like projects on Ethereum also. And we've been willing to do some like generative art using inscriptions. Now we're going to even take it to the next level with the like the recursive inscriptions and the generative art things. So yeah. And if you listen to this, and let me like plug in a little alpha, we say that our logo is not chest for like whatever reason. I mean, we're gonna have some nice things happening. So keep using Best in Slot and see what comes up.
I'm very excited. I've been hearing more. I mean, I've known the idea of recursive inscriptions for a while. But now that I've talked to like a handful of devs about it, it seems pretty uniform that this is like the game changing protocol upgrade to it. So yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. I'm most excited. Like one of my favorite ecosystems in the ordinal space is BRC20, because I think it unlocks this idea of like DeFi on chain that could be built. It sounds like recursive inscriptions could help upgrade that or accelerate that process to a degree, and that's what's exciting to me.
Yeah, it's gonna make it more secure, in my opinion. Currently, like for the BRC20s, it's like 80% secure. Okay, it can break anytime, it can fork anytime, because there isn't much indexes, there is no standards, etc. I think we're gonna come to like with all the like hash sharing, putting the hash on chain, etc. Those kind of like cross-checking, indexer collaboration stuff. It's gonna bring the security of it to the 95%. But like for DeFi, of course, we need like 99.9 kind of like certainty. I think recursive inscriptions can have a big role play in that, pushing 95% to 96, 98, 99, etc. We'll see.
Wow. Well, Eril, I'm glad we had this conversation. You are an incredibly brilliant person who understands systems, and you can definitely tell through the conversation that you definitely think of things very tactically and very organized and efficient. So I appreciate you for sharing this time. You know, I'm looking forward to working together with the Best in Slot and Emblem and seeing where we could go there. And yeah, I hope to see you on more spaces, and we'll definitely have to have this conversation again sometime soon and really expand into some of the even more philosophical ideas, because I could tell that's also something that you enjoy as well.
I would love to do that. Yeah, I would love that part also, like going more philosophical, but anytime.
Absolutely.
Thank you for inviting, Jake. I also enjoyed this talk. Thank you for organizing this.
Of course, yeah. We'll do it again. We're definitely going to do it again. I appreciate you guys for listening and watching. We'll catch you next time.